morning and welcome to Inside Nigeria, coming to you live from Leadership Podcast Studio. My name is Tion Joseph, and this morning I'd like to begin the show with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, the Leadership newspaper. On leadership this morning, the major story says 142 days to 2023 polls. Presidential candidates still struggling with intra-party issues. Details on this story can be found on page 4. Heading down there, the first bullet says PDP BOT phrase to end Atiku Wike feud. NWC absolves self for wrongdoing over housing loot. Next bullet says APC governors meet to address gray areas in campaign conceal list. The next bullet says we are still working on campaign lists, says SDP, LP, and NPP. And the very last bullet for leadership says Obi cries out over attacks, arrest of supporters. That is all we'll be taking on leadership this morning. But there is much more if you hop onto our website, www.leadership.ng. Moving on to the next paper on my list, I have the blueprint. And on the blueprint this morning, the major story says FG breaks ASU's monopoly, gives nod to Konwa. NAMDA. Moving down there, first bullet says association will coexist in line with IAO conventions in Gige. Next one says registration inconsequential, also decay. Next bullet says corruption university system undermining investments, Buhari. And the last bullet on blueprint this morning says commence ICPC chair, jump registrar, others on anti-graft fight. That is all we'll be having on blueprint. Let's head briskly onto the next Nigerian daily. And we have the Daily Sun. On the Daily Sun this morning, the major story says Wike BOT meeting inconclusive as Atiku flags off campaign October 10. The first bullet says Rivers governor pledges commitment to peace. And the last bullet on the Sun this morning says NWC in marathon meeting over return checks. Let's head briskly onto the last daily on my list. And I have the Guardian. On the Guardian, the major story says strike. FG weekends ASU, registrars, rival union. Heading down there, Bajabia Miller represents ASU's recommendations to Buhari. Another meeting tomorrow for final outcome. Next bullet says NASU, SANU members receive September salaries. FG silent on outstanding wages. Next bullet says government may pay outstanding salaries of new unions. Konwa, we are committed to advancement of varsity education. I will not dignify Konwa with response, says ASU president. And the very last bullet on the Guardian this morning says Buhari, ASU complicit in varsities corruption. That is all we'll be taking on the first part of the show, newspaper reviews this morning. The show is just getting started because right here in the studio, we already have our host, Mrs. Winifred Ogbebo, and Mr. Jido Ojo, a public affairs analyst, to do justice to the stories and much more. I'll be back again your way 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. My name remains Tion Joseph. Do have a great day.
viewers, and welcome to Breakfast Show on Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Weber, and with me in the studio is our three card chief. He's a public affairs analyst, a TV host, and a public affairs analyst, a syndicated columnist. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Good morning, Winifred. Good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, and always on the midweek edition of the show. So we are starting off with the leading story on Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. And Leadership's headline story says 142 days to 2023 polls, presidential candidates still struggling with intra-party issues. And the headline, the byline says, the writer say PDP BOT face to end Atiku Wike feud. National Working Committee absolves self of wrongdoing over housing loot. APC governors meet to address grey areas in campaign council list. We are still working on campaign lists, say SDP, LP, NNPP. Obi cries out over attacks, arrest of supporters. That's the leading story on Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership, this morning. 142 days to go, and there seems to be a law. Before the campaigns was flagged up, there was this excitement, tangible. It was so tangible in the air that the election campaign is about to start. And what we are seeing now is a law, and no concrete campaign has actually flagged up. So, is it good or a good sign, or what is it?
Thank you very much, I am Winifred once again. It's not unusual. Note full well that as against the previous practice where an election campaign, public campaigns during elections takes place 90 days to election. This time it's taking place 150 days to election. There's something called burning out. If you don't want to burn out, you have to husband your resources because election is a money guzzler. Campaigns actually consumes the most of the resources you spend for elections. So I think they are just trying to husband their resources and use the period to do some house cleaning or housekeeping.
Strategic in their campaign.
Yeah, you want to be strategic. For instance, like your newspaper pointed out, there are some grumblings, I won't say crisis, in APC. It's just disaffection, because some people who felt that they were supposed to be on the campaign, presidential campaign council list, were conspicuously missing. Names have been mentioned of the vice president as well as the secretary to the federal government.
Yes.
Then, then his cousin, Chalawa, as well as Yakubu Dogara, who happens to be number 4 citizen. That these are people who are supposed to be there, who's saying what. But Keyamo said, well, everybody cannot be there. President said the SGF and the vice president should be left out. But what about Babacha and Yakubu Dogara? Is it because they are condemning the same fate ticket that they were left out and all of that? But, Kayama has also come out to say, look, we have additional 2,000 people who will make that list. It's become a jamboree because coordinating that huge number of people is going to be a huge challenge. But, I mean, like we know, presidential election for a country this big, a country with a prospective 95 million registered voters, it's not going to be contested with very little funds. So if you cannot stand the heat, you don't go near the kitchen. But mark you, I feel the two camps, both the PDP and the APC, has come out to say they have their date for the launch of their presidential campaign. APC have chosen 10th of October, 10/10. They want to go public on 10/10. Whereas I read somewhere that PDP has chosen to flag off next Monday in Akwa Ibom, in Uyo. So I think it's like a train leaving a station. It gathers momentum as it goes, and we are expecting that it will peak January, February next year.
Okay. Now let's go back to the issues that is practically tearing the parties apart. We as just like you rightly mentioned, APC list that some list names that were supposed to be on the list is not there. The one that James Fadeke, Secretary of the PCC, signed and it came out. And meanwhile, Adamu has dissociated himself from the letter that was purportedly written on his behalf. So what is happening? And PDP, on the other hand, 2 days ago, we heard that some 4 governors, they met with Wike in Enugu State, and the outcome of the meeting was not announced to press. So what is really playing out? Because the article, the PDP presidential candidate, is termed as a unifier, that he will unify the country. But unfortunately, it's finding difficult to unify even his own party. So what is playing out at the end of the day? These two parties, these major parties, that have not been able to put their house in order.
I'm not surprised, and I won't be surprised even if Labour Party becomes the ruling party next year. The same fate will happen. You get the bigger the bigger the headache. For instance, Senator Akpan, before he jumped ship as the secretary of the Boni-led interim committee, said that APC has 40.5 million registered voters. 40.5 million. And these people are not in the party to come and be dusting chairs and be a bench woman. This is where the action is. So they want to be part of the action, because if you make a list of this PCC, you'll be rest assured that you will hit for the next one.
I was actually coming to that if your name is on the list, why is there so much hullabaloo about my name not on the list?
If your name is not on the list, you don't control budget. You don't control budget. It's those who are on the list that will control some budget. This is structure. If they are telling you structure, this is the structure through which money will be channeled for mobilization. There will be those in charge of media, there will be those in charge of ICT, those in charge of security, those in charge, because you cannot be going to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu lining up to say, oh yeah, give us money, or we want to go to Onitsha to campaign. He will give instruction, mandate for the DG of the campaign. Maybe on monthly basis, they will have 5 billion or 10 billion. It is the DG that will now say, okay, you, security, you need to buy bulletproof vehicles. Maybe we need 10 for our campaign. So it's the one heading that unit that will go and make the procurement. The media, you know, the wet ground. So it's
not take news to the media
for free. They will run jingles. Yes. They will run adverts. Yes. So the person who is heading the media team is the one you will be dealing with. You won't be dealing with the DG. The DG's role is coordination. Are you with me? Yes. That's why people want to be there. Because most of these people are not going to be spending their own personal funds.
It's actually out of altruism.
No, it's not altruism. You need to get that straight. People have waited for 4 years for this opportunity. It's like making a delegates list of your party. If you are on the delegates list, you are close to party way with poverty, as we saw during this. So these 5 months, people are jostling to be on that list because they are, in fact, the 422 will be like the head of directorates and departments. So the 2,000 will be those who will be serving in those committees, because even when you have a media, you have a subcommittee, maybe on print, subcommittee on social media, subcommittee on broadcast media or electronic media. So then there will be foot soldiers, people you will be sending. So if there are 5 media interviews to attend to, the head of the media cannot be enough. So he will look for those who are articulate amongst them to say, okay, you go to leadership, you will go to AIT, you go channel, and because tomorrow we have 7 media appearances and about the same time. So, but note that none of these people are in that presidential campaign for altruistic purposes. It is to be where the action is. Yes. Even if you will not profit materially, financially, materially, and in terms of appointment. It is from this presidential campaign council that they will choose ministers if they win. You get? Because I served as look at Dan Bazal now. Dan Bazal was Lieutenant General Dan Bazal was in the security committee of Buhari campaign organization. When the election was won, he became the Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister of Interior. You get? But he has served as his time as a Chief of Army Staff. So the man was the security subcommittee or the security committee. So when Buhari won, of course, even our incumbent Attorney General and Minister of Justice was in the legal.
Yes, he was.
He was in the legal both for CPC and so. And then he became the Attorney General. Too much money.
And many people are wondering why he's pulling so much weight in Buhari's administration, forgetting that he has been with.
He's been a faithful supporter and loyalist. CPC. So what I'm saying, without undue, is that people are jostling to be in this presidential campaign council because of vested interest. They work for the party, and it's they say workshop is where you work, you shop. And so they also want to, at least for those who do not have clout, they will have budget to go. Those that they will recruit to be social media tigers, and they will mobilize them, maybe place them on salary for like maybe 100,000 per month for maybe 100 of them. Buhari media campaign. They will control budget. The one for logistics, the one for planning of rallies. If they intend to go to 768 local government area and 6 area councils, making 774. If you are just a local government coordinator, look at what you get. Imagine being given like 100 million to organize for one local government. These are money without receipt. So you just go and recruit people, mobilize, negotiate with the family and friends. It's for the venue to be filled now. So somebody will take responsibility for that. So in the process, you also have something pepper resting in your pocket. So it's part of, but for not all of them, because some of them are very well accomplished, like all the governors. You don't expect, what will they give the governors? The governors are already made, but their own reward is bigger. It's from them. For those who are governors who are serving out their second and final term, that they might recruit ministers. You get. So if depending on the proportion of your support will determine the ministry you will get. So people have said that Rotimi Amechi and Fashola actually gave enormous logistic support to Buhari. So even Fashola. So that's why one is not surprised that they are holding key ministries. So that is for PCC of APC. It's an investment of time,
and
of resources.
Though you did mention some of the names that were absent, we also have the names of the vice president's wife missing on the list, even though Aisha Buhari's name is on the list.
But they just said that the Aisha Buhari will lead the women wing.
But her name was not.
That's why they are having a second batch. So
even if you say that the husband is busy, that the president said no, leave them out because of their busy schedule. What about the wife?
I said they have also told us sometimes it's about protocol. If the president's wife name is there, she's the head. They may just out of honor say she can now get other women to work with that. But maybe what people are saying is that the VP's wife's name should also be expressly mentioned. But what we are saying is that this is a game of intrigues. Don't rule it out. It's a political game. It's a game of interest. It's a game of intrigue. So don't be too. Even with the 2,000, people are going to be on that list according to what they can bring to the table. And if you don't have electoral value, you don't have ability to mobilize, to provide security, you may not find your name on the list. Imagine 40 million. That's if they are truthful, that they have 40 million registered members. Can you afford to have 1 million in presidential campaign committee? How do you fund it? You need the ministers, you need the commission, you need the ministers, you need the governors because of logistics they can bring. A governor will provide logistics, financial, even state resources in general to facilitate, like all the media in the state and all of that. So that is part of why but let's go quickly to Wike versus Atiku. PDP. It's unfortunate that about 4 months on, this issue has not been resolved. Since the primary took place, and the primary ended on June 9, if my memory serves me right. This is October. So it's about 4 months now. Every day it's been Wike. So today you have Wike Atiku camp, and it's not as if it cannot be resolved. I think what is at play is not just ego, it's also blackmail. It's also about jostling for post 2023. Because I have been on a media platform, a national television, where the two camps were present, and the argument of the Atiku's camp is not that Ayu should not go. It's the time. If Ayu goes, there will be a collateral damage. Peradventure, people don't know this. If Ayu resigns, the argument from Wike's camp is that the power should shift to the south. Now, the deputy national chairman, one, is a northerner, like Ayu, Damagu. So if Ayu resign, he is the natural person to step in acting capacity. But Wike's camp is saying power shift to the south, not to return. It's not like only Ayu will go. From what I learned, the argument is that if Ayu goes, there will be about 4 or 5 other people that must go to achieve that balance of changing power structure. Don't forget, before Ayu, who was there? It was Prince Uche Secondus. Now, those positions that were being held by the North were swapped and brought to the South. Those being held by the South were swapped, taken to the North. Let me be more explicit. Now, the Ayu is from North Central.
He resigned, Jibrin. You know he resigned.
No, that's BOT. That's the Walid Jibrin. That one is BOT. That one is not zoned. Now, this one that is zoned, the challenge here is this. If Ayu resigns, if Ayu goes, you want to bring a Southerner to replace him. But you cannot have the first deputy national chairman, who will also be a North. It has to be served by your constitution.
But Ayu did say that once a Northerner
that is one. No, Ayu said if there is a need for him, it's a contextual. You see, they just picked that out of context. But even if he said it, the constitution of the party has said about the due process. You cannot have Ayu resign now without a special conference of the party. Now the campaigns are on full swing. When do you want to plan convention? You will now be saying convention must come to Port Harcourt again. And some people will be saying, so the point is, are you camp or articles camp is saying, yes, even if are you will go, let it be after the election is won and lost. The reason why IU is being persuaded to leave is because the presidential candidate is also from the north. But the presidential candidate has not won. He hasn't won. And if IU goes, Damagun will have to go as the deputy national chairman, north. Then the secretary, who is from Imo, Senator Anyanwu, will have to go because that position will now go to the north.
Yes.
Then the national organizing secretary will also have to go because that position is also in the south. It has to go to the north. So there will be a swapping of 4 to 5 positions. And that's what the IU's camp or the article camp is saying. It's inauspicious to do that now. You cannot just organize convention in 1 week. There is huge logistics involved. And then you must agree among all stakeholders, venue, and of course, other logistics that you have to put in place, that this is not the appropriate time. When the election is won and lost, if Atiku wins today, then you know that the presidency will be in the north for the next 4 years. So you can then now swap and make sure that the party structure reflected that zoning arrangement. I don't know if you get it. But right now, Aji is just a candidate. He is not candidate-elect. He's not president-elect. He's not even, he has not contested to know whether he will win or lose. Because if you now stampeded and Ayu goes and you bring the South to be, meanwhile, as Ayu goes, you take the position to the Southwest or South generally. Now, if Atiku loses, what happens? Will you now organize another convention and bring the position that you have taken from the north back to the north? And it shows a bit of flip-flop. And that's why the IU stroke Atiku's camp is saying, calm down. Let's have the election won and lost. Once that is done, we know, even if it's president-elect, we can, in that period, also now go for convention. And then the position that are being held by the north will be swapped for the south. So that the president will be from the north, the party chairman will be from the south. But right now, if Atiku loses and you have already changed the party structure, you have already given it to the south, will you now organize another convention to now change it back to the north? It looks untidy. So, but weakest camp, that's why I say ego is coming in. Weakest camp is saying it's either Ayu goes or nothing. And we have seen the frolicking of the weakest camp with the opposition.
2 days ago, we saw that Wike
and Peter Obi met.
4 governors.
Yeah, 5 of them met in
PDP
Enugu.
governors now, and the outcome of the meeting was not disclosed. What are your permutations?
Well, there are snippets that came out, which is that Ayu will apologize and that they will shield their sword. But that's what I read from somebody who said he has privileged information to that effect that okay, that the appointment has been reached, but Ayu will have to apologize. He was said to have called them children. That he will come and meet them and apologize and calm them down. But what we now saw was that yesterday, the BOT actually have to go to Rivers to meet with Wike. And from what we have seen, they said the meeting was inconclusive. The BOT is led by Wabara, Adolfo Wabara now. And you see, unfortunately for PDP, it's lack of internal cohesion that has led them to this cul-de-sac. The power is for them to pick before the emergence of Peter Obi and Kwakwanso. These two left their party and are now going to eat both in the north and the south from their vantage position. Because Kwakwaso will get some 1, 2, 3 million votes from the north, which will have ordinarily gone to Atiku Abubakar if Kwakwaso were not to be contested. The same thing with the south. If Peter Obi had not left the party, the votes for Peter Obi will have been for Atiku.
Yes.
Because where PDP has a stronghold in the south is actually in the southeast and south. Like 5 out of 6 states, 5 out of 6 states in the south is under the control of PDP, and then two out of 5 in southeast. But you know, even though
when it comes to presidential, where
they go, it would be with Obi.
Yes.
So right
we
now,
saw in 2019,
even right now, if they pacify Wike and there is a mending offenses, Peter Obi will still eat deeply into votes that should ordinarily have gone to PDP in the southeast and southwest and south. So irrespective, win or lose, having lost Peter, having lost Kwakwanso, it would have been best not to have allowed these two to go and form, because that's one advantage APC has.
Yes.
APC has not lost anybody of note that can eat into their stronghold.
And even with the intra-party, you see that they've not really come out.
That's why I say it's just grumbling. It's not like mass defection of the. It's intact relatively for their size. So it's PDP that should watch its step. And it's too late to cry.
Yes,
for PDP, it's too late to cry. Whichever pacification or mending offenses, Peter Obi's phenomenon will hurt the party in the south, and Kwakwaso's phenomenon will hurt the party in the north. So, head and tail, you are losing ground. And don't forget, something is to the advantage of APC now. It's in control of 21 states, even after losing Osun. 21 states out of 36 puts you in a vantage position, because assuming that each of the governors decided to support the party with $1 billion, which is doable, or even half $1 billion.
It's very, no, 1 billion is doable.
1 billion is doable as part of their own contribution, so logistic for the president. Just imagine that. That's 21 billion you are bringing on board. Meanwhile, how many would PDP governor bring? And the Peter Obi will see the greatest volunteerism in Nigerian history.
For politics. So
you now see that while APC will be an advantage, if the governors of APC are sincere that they want to retain power, it's in their hands to provide that logistics to support Ashwaju. And at least if all of them were able to win their state for the party, that's 21 states out of 24 that you need to have 25%. And even where states where APC is not in control, they will still get 25%.
Yes,
like in Taraba, in Adamawa, they get 25%.
Yes.
You get the secretary to the federal government is from Adamawa. The Taraba is, yes, it's a PDP state, but that's not to say that APC cannot get even Bauchi.
Yes.
Let me tell you, Bauchi will vote APC, even though they have a PDP governor.
Yes.
You know why? Buhari, despite the fact that he's a PDP governor in Bauchi, Buhari has favored Bauchi in appointments. So much. Adamu is from Bauchi. The Bukachua, her husband, was from the former president court of appeal. Then this other Katagun, Minister of State Foreign Affairs, is from Bauchi. Abubakar Sadiq, the immediate past chief of Air Staff before Amal took over, is from Bauchi. Several other positions. Third Fund, Professor Sulaiman Bogoro is from Bauchi.
He has left.
No, I know, but under this administration, even Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is from Bauchi. They are INEC chairman. So you have very people of clout that are from. So even for the mere fact that he remembers them in appointment,
Yes.
they will vote him. They will vote him. So, and the Buhari phenomenon is still there for the North, at least in larger parts, irrespective of whatever we say about performance, he will still be able to. So the point is, PDP shot itself in the foot by not thinking through this issue of zoning that they jettison. You cannot have a northerner serving 8 years and you think you want to replace him with another northerner. So
feeling the pulse of the nation.
Because that's what brought this whole crisis to the fore.
Yes, that was
if it were to be that the zoning was to the south,
place, yes,
Peter Obi will not leave PDP. Wike will not be threatening that because it will have been all south and southern affair. And you know, they will pacify themselves that head or tail is still south that will win. And but unfortunately, because Atiku saw this as his last chance, 74 or thereabouts, if he doesn't pick it this time around, age will count against him. So he will not, I don't see him contesting in 2027. Likewise, Tinubu, if he misses this chance, he can't contest again. He will be 74, at least officially, that he's 70 this year. So that the only person who still has us in his favor is Peter Obi. Yes. Even if he loses in 2023, if he loses in 2023, he still have a chance in 2027. Yes. Because it would just have been like 65, 66. As I think it's 62 now, 61. So he still will be. So what we are saying is that permutations matter, and irrespective, people, whatever you say, APC is still relatively intact. Yes, you have not had any governor defecting beyond your governor Obaseki. Yes. And Obaseki didn't want to leave. Yes. It was because of the intractable fight between him and Oshiomhole. And so he even went to meet Mr. President before he left. That look, I didn't want to leave, but because of my chairman. So, and even when Oshiomhole left, Ayari has coming in Cross River. So they still have and don't forget, for APC to have done very well in the last Bayelsa State governorship election, that it was technicality that gave PDP victory. It tells you that
PDP did not win the election.
PDP did not win the election.
APC Guba candidate
David Lion won.
PDP with a landslide.
It was a landslide victory. So you know, it's to the advantage of the others to tell you that
we still have a long time to on our hands. Let's still go back to leadership. I want you to see the last rider on leadership, and that is the fact that LP presidential Guba cried out that over attacks, arrest of supporters. So what do you have to say about it? He actually issued the press release.
In fact, in Oyo State yesterday,
was clamping down on his support on his.
Where was that up there? I didn't get that. But no, where specifically is it in Lagos? Or?
I also read that it was in Lagos. They had to effect the release of
their candidates. So this is part of the campaign strategy. You know, clamping down on opposition and all of that. And I was the one I read about was the one that took place in Oyo State yesterday, where auxiliary potential a member of the NURTW who has a party for Sheyi Makinde of PDP, you know, his supporters allegedly unleashed mayhem on APC supporters in Oyo State yesterday. No, it's APC supporters in Oyo State. Okay. In Oyo State. So the one that Peter Obi is saying, you know, you can't dismiss it with a wave over. This is the underhand tactics that are being used by ruling parties in different states to deal with opposition. They will deny you access to public facility, deny you access to media, clamp down on your supporters, you know, security power of coercive forces to deal with you. So this Labour Party and other opposition parties must brave up for this. It's unfortunate that we are seeing this, and this where the court, this where court has to protect this, our democracy, because I don't see why this should still be happening. 7th general elections in this fourth republic. We should have outgrown this kind of, intolerant behavior. Why should you become clamping down on opposition? Have they offended? In fact, there is another strategy some governors are using, asking people, parties to pay 10 million naira if they want to pay posters. That they have to pay some amount, into the coffers of the state government before you are allowed to pay poster, under the guise that they will use it to clean up the state when the campaigns are over. But when it is their own party, they will not pay. So you insist that opposition who wants to place
has to be taken care of. And we're running out of time. Let's quickly go over to Blueprint newspaper. That is a trending story that made the rounds yesterday. Federal government breaks ASU's monopoly, gives not to Konua NAMDA. Associations will coexist in line with ILO conventions, says Ngige. Registration inconsequential, says ASU's national president Osodeke. Corruption university system undermining investments, Buhari. Comments ICPC chair, JAM registrar, orders on anti-graft fight. What do you have to say? Is this what federal government could come up with after about 7 months of more than 7 months?
8 months now. Okay, on the 14th of this month, it will be exactly 8 months, which is, a whole session again lost. This is what can. This is actually what can haunt APC in the forthcoming election. This ASU, the mishandling of this ASU strike.
First, they went to court.
They went to National Industrial Court to got a judgment. Now they have licensed a parallel factional union, and that's how they did. I think it was, is it Goodluck Jonathan on which of the, is it Obasanjo that dealt with NLC by registering TUC, just to whittle down the powers of the Nigerian Labour Congress. But this they wrote previously trade. It's not going to, it's not the solution. I thought there was something that happened yesterday where after the indictment by President Buhari at the anti-corruption summit of ICPC, where he accused the vice chancellors of lack of transparency and accountability for internally generated revenue. I think we need to look into that. The president, yes, like or hate him, is making a valid point. There is no accountability. So much monies in billions are being.
Yes, I had a guest in the studio that said that over trillion was not remitted by these agencies.
They'll make this money and spend it the way they like.
Until Oloyede came to JAM, we didn't know that JAM was generating so much money to the previous
that's why it's battling anti-corruption case in EFCC. He made so much money for himself that you never knew that there was so much surplus, operating surplus in until Ishak Oloyede, and I'm glad that his name is being mentioned among those who get national honors. He deserves it.
This platform has always given him
awards. Ishak Oloyede deserves it for his uprightness. But you see, I think much as I condemn the president's or his minister's action in trying to divide to rule ASU, the issue of accountability and transparency in the academic institutions need to be taken very seriously. So much money is being charged students under development levies and all manner of levies, and they are not accounted for by vice chancellors of some of the universities. In fact, I did an opinion article some time ago that says that some vice chancellors have been dragged to court for corruption, for lack of transparency in managing resources, and even the money they get from TED Fund. It leaves more to be desired how these monies were spent, because they are in billions of naira.
Oh yes, because I tackled one. I actually had a discussion with one in the studio. That was last week when we were talking about Nigerian 62 and how far with the education sector. And he did say that TED Fund belongs to that. I said no, federal government. TED Fund, an agency of federal government. It's federal government. It's a representative of federal government.
No,
so you can't be getting things from TED Fund and say that no, that is for you.
No, it's not because the belief of ASU is that they engineered the establishment of education tax. That's good, but it's the management of that resources from the federal government.
It's from the
and the funding that are being received by the individual universities, public universities. In fact, tertiary education trust fund funds both federal and state universities,
yes.
polytechnics, and colleges of education.
Yes.
So these monies are in billions,
yes.
and should have been properly accounted for. That's one. But the point I needed to
with
make.
These monies, they are provided scholarship.
No, so many things, even research grants for academics and all of that. But the one that goes to improvement of infrastructure.
Providing infrastructure. So why are you not demanding infrastructure again from federal government?
No,
should be given to
the point I want to make as we wrap up is that Bajabi Amila and the leadership of House of Reps met with the president yesterday night on this ASU strike, taking the recommendations after their meeting last week. They deliberated with ASU and the government sides in the National Assembly. So they have taken the recommendation to the president. They said the president was very enthusiastic about those recommendations. Let's hope that they are not playing politics. Something definite needs to go. This is not the way to go. Creating additional union that would demand that would seem like a very devious ways of resolving this issue. It's not the way. It can bring lasting peace to campuses, because everybody saw that it's a divide and rule attempt to break the back of ASU. But I have also pleaded with ASU that perhaps if fights and run away, lives to fight another day. But he who is in a battle is slain can never rise and fight again. They've made their point. Whatever is offered by this administration, let them take it. When a new government comes
and they go on strike again.
No, they will not have to go. Hopefully, they will not have to go. Even if Buhari gives them what they want, and he didn't implement all they might still go on strike under the incoming administration. So it's give and take. That's my own position. Give and take. Funding education has become a very equivalent task. There is paucity of resources and all of that. But it's just that I'm rooting for accountability and transparency in this whole thing. There is nothing that says that federal government should not allow UTAS, University Transparency Accountability Solution, to be used peculiarly for university payment system as university payment system because of the peculiarity of. After all, look at pension, PENCOM, under the PENCOM law. The military have opted out of PENCOM. Police, I think, have also military, armed forces generally have opted out of PENCOM. So they don't do contributory pension for them. So there are always exceptions to every rule. So if you have tested UTAS and you found out that UTAS have passed by 93%, whereas IPPIS did not even score that high, then allow UTAS to coexist with IPPIS rather than insisting that it has to be one payment platform.
Even that payment platform has been found to be problematic. Well, viewers, we run out of time and it's time to go. With me this year has been three title chiefs, a public affairs analyst, a syndicated columnist, and a TV host. Sorry, I'm always coming to anytime. I have to introduce you. His name is Jide Ojo. It's always a pleasure to have you on the midweek edition of Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Webo. At the same time, same tomorrow, same station, we'll be here to take you on another episode of Inside Nigeria. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.